Once upon a time, high in the Himalayan mountains, where the air was thin and cold and the peaks wore caps of white, a tiny water drop named Jal lay sleeping inside a snowflake. Jal was very small, smaller than a grain of rice, smaller than a sesame seed, so small that 1,000 Jals could fit on the tip of your finger. But Jal was about to go on the biggest journey in the world. One spring morning, the sun climbed high and warm. Its golden rays touched the snow where Hal was resting. Slowly, gently, the snow began to soften. The ice around Jal turned to water, and suddenly, drip, Jal was free. "Oh," said Jal, slipping down the mountainside. "Where am I going?" "Down," laughed 100 other drops, tumbling alongside him. "Always down." Together they trickled over smooth gray rocks and between tiny mountain flowers, purple and white and bright, bright yellow. They gathered together, more and more drops joining in, until they were not just drips anymore. They were a stream. The stream danced and gurgled down the mountain, cold and clear and full of energy. It jumped over pebbles. It swirled around boulders. It sang a bubbly, happy song that echoed through the pine trees. "This is wonderful," Jal called out. "I feel so fast." The stream flowed on, down and down, until the mountains gave way to green hills. Here the stream met other streams, some from other mountains, some from underground springs, and they all joined together. Now Jal was part of a river. The river was wide and strong and steady. It moved more slowly than the stream, but with great purpose, as if it knew exactly where it was going. Along the banks, Jal saw a small village. Children were filling clay pots with water, balancing them carefully on their heads. Women washed clothes at the river's edge, the bright fabric, red and blue and saffron, spreading out on the warm rocks to dry. Farmers guided water from the river into narrow channels that led to their fields of rice and wheat. "They need me," Jal whispered, amazed. "I help them drink. I help them wash. I help their food grow." The river carried on. It passed through a town with a stone bridge and a temple whose bells rang at sunset. It passed fishermen in wooden boats, their nets spread wide like silver wings on the water. Then the river reached a city. Here it was wide and busy. Boats carried goods up and down. Pipes drew water from the river into homes and schools and hospitals. Jal could feel himself being useful, being needed, being part of something so much bigger than one tiny drop. But the river did not stop. It never stopped. It flowed past the city, through flat green plains where buffalo stood knee-deep in water and egrets rode on their backs. It flowed through wetlands where tall reeds swayed and frogs sang evening songs. It flowed wider and wider, slower and slower, until Jal could smell something new. Salt. The smell of salt. And then, with a great, gentle sigh, the river opened into the ocean. Jal had never seen anything so vast. Water stretched in every direction, blue and green and silver, all the way to where the sky began. Waves rolled and whispered. Seagulls called. The sun painted a golden road across the surface that seemed to go on forever. "I made it," Jal breathed, from a snowflake on a mountain to the great, wide ocean. He floated in the warm, salty water, resting for the first time in a long while. He drifted with the currents. He watched dolphins leap. He felt the pulse of the tides, gentle and steady, like the earth itself was breathing. And then, one hot afternoon, something strange happened. The sun beat down strong and warm. Jal felt himself getting lighter, lighter and lighter, until he was not water anymore. He was mist. He was vapor. He was rising. Up, up, up he floated, invisible and free, lifted by the sun's warmth, rising through the air like a tiny, weightless whisper, higher and higher, until the ocean below looked like a great blue blanket, and the air around him turned cool. And there, high in the sky, Jal met other drops, thousands of them, all rising from rivers and lakes and oceans all over the world. They gathered together, soft and white and light. They became a cloud, and the cloud drifted north, carried by the wind, over plains and cities and forests and hills, all the way back to the mountains, the tall, snow-capped Himalayan mountains, where it began to snow. And Jal, tiny Jal, settled gently into a snowflake on the very same peak where his journey had started. "Hello again," whispered the mountain. "Hello," Jal whispered back, nestling into the cold, quiet snow. "I have been everywhere, and now I am home." But he knew it was not really the end. It was just the beginning of the next circle, the next journey, the same beautiful, endless loop, mountain to stream, stream to river, river to ocean, ocean to cloud, cloud to mountain, round and round, connected to everything, part of everything. Close your eyes now, little one. Somewhere tonight, a tiny drop of water is on its journey, maybe falling as rain on your rooftop, maybe flowing in a river, maybe rising from the sea. And one day, it might just fall as a snowflake on a faraway mountain, ready to begin again. Good night, Jal. Good night, river. Good night, wide and wonderful world.